west of Olathe, but you want to make sure that you're aware of this as well. This storm is moving pretty quickly. It may have some very strong wind as well, and possibly the potential there of producing some very large hail, Brian.
All right, thank you. And I heard we had one of the emergency managers. Was that Douglas County or Johnson County booth? It was Douglas County. If we can go to that phoner, since it is moving from one county into the next, and that would be heading up toward the western portion of Johnson County. Let us go to the phoner, and since I did not get the name, let's please introduce yourself, please. Do we have that phoner?
This is Terry Smith with Douglas County Emergency Management.
Okay, and what is going on in that county since it seems to be easing its grip on you and going farther to the east?
It really is. You know, we've had our spotters out this evening, and we've had some 30 to 40 mile an hour winds and some diamond quarter-size hail. We're watching the updated warning that's in Eudora with possible baseball-size hail, but have no reports at this time.
All right, and as far as the wind damage or any power outages, anything is coming in with regard to that?
You know, we don't have any reports of any power outages. Earlier today, I can tell you there were some down power lines just because of the winds that were going on. But right now in the Emergency Management Operations Center, we don't have any reports of any down power lines.
Good to know. Terry Smith, thank you for filling in the gaps there, reporting from Douglas County, the emergency management there. Thank you so much for that. But as noticed, right along county line between Douglas and western portions of Johnson County, not too far away from where our live radar comes from, New Century Air Center. So this would be Gardner, just to get your bearings. Here's Olathe, there's Lenexa. So this is now at least one storm that's a little suspect. No official warning quite yet tornadic, but as you've seen, these have a history of producing tornadoes at very little warning at all, but at least they are keeping ahead of it by changing a severe thunderstorm warning to a tornado warning. This one is still moving just to the east of, say, Douglas County, and now it is not too far away. I'd say it's just to the north and west of Gardner. So heading between DeSoto and Gardner. Still, it may clip Olathe, at least the northern half of that city. Also heading up toward Lenexa. And as you see here, the rain will be picking up Edwardsville, so that would be up toward Wyandotte County too. So the tornado warning staying in effect, as you noticed, until 7:30 for areas to the west and northwest. Nick Bender is still back in there looking at that cell. He gave us our first alert very close to when it was actually toward Atchison County. Nick.
Brian, we're in Platte City. We're heading east. I think this storm's starting to get away from us. It's moving north of Smithville. I no longer have a view of the base, so I'm not going to be able to add a whole lot. It did have a well-defined wall cloud when it went over Platte City. I think we're going to let this storm go. Matt Fleener, who's up there in St. Joseph, might want to come east towards Stewartsville and Cameron along 36 Highway to try and get out ahead of this storm. I think I'm going to pass this one off to him, and I'm going to move back to Kansas City to position with that large supercell that's moving into Linwood. Brian, back to you.
Thank you so much there. A little farther to the south, as you mentioned, we have Matt Fleener, who's on a little better vantage point, but I think Stacy Cameron's available to try to get the first alert as to what is going on where you are. Stacy.
Well, we're looking back. We're in Harrisonville right now, looking back to the north and the west, Brian, in towards the city in that cell that has been being chased by Nick and Matt Fleener. Here, we're just on the edge of the southern part of that cell that's starting to move in. The temperature's dropping quite a bit. The wind's staying pretty consistent, but right now, we still haven't had any rain. We can see that lightning quite a show off to our north and the west, but we'll stay here. It looks like maybe that storm's, you can tell me a little bit better, but watching the radar here, maybe still a good 15, 20, 30 minutes before it hits us here in Harrisonville.
Good, I think so. Stacy, thank you for that. I'm going to try to go to, if I can, Weather 2. That's going to show the warnings, the flood warnings, the tornado warnings, and the severe thunderstorm warnings. Just to get the big picture, then we'll zoom it on down because, as you can see here, the new tornado warnings continue once again for the eastern portions. Not too far away from that would be Clinton County going toward Caldwell County almost. So it appears that's the tornado warning there. This is a tornado that's been observed still for Buchanan, Clay, and Platte until 7:45. Farther to the south, that is that cell. And then farther to the west, that's where we see it going through the western portion of Johnson County, western portions of Leavenworth County, a small sliver of Wyandotte County too, and even a severe thunderstorm warning farther to the south of Franklin County. This is the line that's pushing through farther to the east and southeast. Eventually it should be clearing our skies in the next hour or so, but as you notice here in the animation mode, it is still moving through pretty rapidly, and that's part of the challenge for our spotters out in the field to try to keep up with these, since they are moving and they are still advancing off to the east, but those tornado warnings remain in effect. Stacy was reporting from Harrisonville, waiting. Taisha Walker, if we can get her, since she's very close to Olathe, that's where this cell is about ready to converge on, and still underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. And also farther to the west, as we're trying to look at what's happening near the airport, still have that tornado warning out for Douglas County. So Chris and Laura, do you have information about what's happening in the Northland close to the airport?
Well, all over Twitter, we were hearing from people in the Parkville area. The sirens went off, now they're back on again. And we've also heard from Joe McBride with KCI. They do not feel as though they need to take any precautions right now. Because most of it is to the north of KCI, but we're in constant contact with them as well. Sirens again went off at 7:22, according to some folks in Parkville, and actually just 1 minute ago also. So the folks in that area certainly hearing many, many sirens, and if you take a look at radar, you know that they're right in the path. But in talking to Matt Fleener and in talking to Nick Bender, it seems like the place where KCI is, they're in the clear for right now.
Yeah, the last report of anything significant as it relates to KCI was approximately 3 minutes ago, and it was a local weather spotter who reported seeing what appeared to be a tornado. This was 3 miles north of KCI, so it would probably obviously put it much closer to Platte City.
Right.
But that was 3 minutes ago, and at least so far, they don't feel as if they need to send passengers at KCI into the basement of the terminals there. Brian.
Good to hear that. Very good to hear that. But as we're noticing, it's still starting to move farther and farther into Johnson County on the Kansas side. Taisha Walker has been stationed in or just to the north and west of Olathe. What's going on with you there, Taisha?
Hi, Brian. We are heading north on 7 toward Lenexa right now. We are not getting any rain right now, but we are watching this light show, which is very vivid. It's persistent, and at times it can be very scary. We are just traveling, heading from Olathe to Lenexa to see if we can see some more hail, which will likely be coming in that area. Around, and all we're noticing right now is that strong lightning show, which you can see coming every 1 to 2 seconds here in Olathe. Brian?
Electrical storm for sure. Warning still coming left and right, as you see here. This is the line, still right on time as we're going through the tornado warning, staying in effect, loosening its grip on Leavenworth County, but still every bit of Platte County, and still heading farther to the east and northeast. But there's a new warning that just came out. Neville Miller's got that. Neville, go ahead.
All right, Brian. Yeah, we are keeping a very close watch on these warnings. I really want to focus again. Now we're seeing warning coming in here. This includes parts of Jackson County, it looks like here. Actually, tornado warning for northern Missouri for Harrison and Mercer County. This just came in from the National Weather Service. Again, that's going to be for Harrison and Mercer County until 8 o'clock this evening for northern parts of Missouri with that warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning for the Kansas City metro area, Johnson, Leavenworth, Wyandotte, Clay, Clinton, Jackson, Lafayette, Platte, and Ray counties until 8:15. And I also want to focus back in on this storm that Taisha is heading into. I am seeing some rotation, at least being indicated by radar, on this storm in western parts of Johnson County on the Kansas side. So this is off to the north and to the west of Olathe, just south of DeSoto, or very close to DeSoto, actually. That part of the storm I'm a little concerned about there near 111th Street, west 127th Street there, Waverly Road. Those are some of the areas that we're keeping a very close watch on there. But again, now we do have that tornado warning for Harrison and Mercer. So if you're up in the Bethany area, this now includes you with that tornado warning. And Brian, if we can go over to Lynx 2, we can pop that up. That's going to be right along I-35 in northern Missouri. So this is very close to the city of Bethany, near Ridgeway, Canesville. You're included with this. This is just off to the east of New Hampton. And this storm is moving very quickly. And in fact, just saw a report now. Spotters have a funnel or tornado near Maysville. So we do have that. And it looks like tornado warning, Brian, for Clay, Clinton, and Platte counties as well until 8 o'clock. That just came down as well, brand new.
I see that. It's observed. So let's go to Clay County, please, and see if we can look at it on First Alert radar. This would now be First Alert Live radar. So this is a tornado warning for Clinton County and Clay counties. So this is once again farther to the east So it hadn't even popped up yet on our system, but if we're talking about Clay and Clinton, it's going to be the extreme northern portion. There it goes. It has just popped up here. Plattsburgh is right in the center of this. This is closer to Trimble, going to be just not too far away from Smithville Lake. Lathrop is in the middle of this, Plattsburgh, Trimble, as I mentioned. So this is now a new tornado warning, and supposedly an observed tornado stays in effect until 8 o'clock. It's going to be that hook right there at northeast 153rd, I believe that is, or 58th. And then you see it's going toward County Road 270, and that's where at least the signature is. So it's east and southeast to Trimble, and still moving to the east and northeast. So this is now a new tornado warning. As we've been saying all night long, it does not take much for these things to pop down. So now this is not just radar indicated. This is a tornado that has been observed at night in the frequent lightning strikes that have been going on. So Edgerton, you're fine. Trimble, it looks like you're toward the back edge, but still the heaviest of the cell and the tornado that at least is the tornado producing cell, that is, that at least prompted this, is continuing to push off to the east and northeast. Lily, you're next in line for this. As a live sweep comes around, you can see how quickly it moved. It was just to the south and west of Lily, now converging on Lily and continuing to move up to the east and northeast toward Lathrop. So that is now a tornado warning. Northern portions of Clay County and Clinton counties for about another half hour or so until that would be 8 o'clock this evening, as Live First Alert radar continues to show that. And what's going on there is another warning that's coming through, which is why you hear the sirens on the other side of the newsroom. So we have at least a line of three different tornado warnings simultaneous, severe thunderstorm warnings that are still out. That does include the Kansas City Metro, but the way this setup has been going, it does not take long for it to go from a severe thunderstorm warning, elevate it to a tornado warning, just because things are once again that, well, we'll call it volatile. It's been windy all day today. The moisture's ahead. The cold front's moving through. So embedded within these thunderstorms in a line, you get little spin ups, and that's what we've had. Brief touchdowns every once in a while. Paradise, you're in for a heavier downpour. Eventually, though, it looks like the heaviest is continuing to move to the east and northeast. Within this tornado warning, another live sweep comes around, shows you it went from Lily to where my finger was, farther to the east and northeast, heading toward Lathrop. If we can zoom in really tight so I can see these cross streets real carefully. This is now just showing you at least the heaviest of the rotation and the heaviest of the reflectivity. Go back in, please. Thank you, sir. Neville is on the controls here because some of those individual county roads I do want to get correct. County Road 225, as you see there, and then State Highway C. That is, once again, very close to the city of Lily, moving to the northeast, which is that new tornado warning out for northern portions of Clay County and Clinton counties until 8 o'clock. Neville, did you see any other reports that came in here?
Yeah, Brian,
Sure.
just doing some investigation on this storm, the part of it that really has me concerned is going to be very close to Smithville, very close to Trimble there as well. So it's going to be this part that we're keeping a watch on here, just like Brian was talking about, near Lily, near J Highway there, County Road 270. This is pretty close to Smithville, just off to your north, just off to the, it looks like, hey, let's go to Nick Bender. He's got some more information here. Nick.
All right, Neville, I'm moving south of the airport right now on 435, west side of Kansas City. We're going to go east on 152. I wanted just to let you all know you've probably seen the signature.
I think you just froze up there, Nick, so if you can hear me, your last two sentences were totally lost. We'll wait until we establish contact with you. I can see your monitor when your signal comes back. But he, once again, was heading a little farther south of what he was saying, trying to get in between these two cells that are continuing to move to the east and northeast. Heaviest right now, about ready to converge onto Trimble. Plattsburgh seems to be also one of the areas of concern. Nick, your picture is back, so let me throw it to you briefly while we have your audio.
Brian, I don't know if you've checked it yet. Check the correlation coefficient. This is for checking for debris east of Trimble. It's a damaging tornado in progress. It's showing a debris signature to the east of Trimble. Just to add some more confirmation to that being a tornado in progress. I am back in Kansas City, south of the airport. I'm getting ready to go east on 152 highway across the Northland. Brian, back to you.
Okay, we'll check that out and see if we do see the signature of a debris ball out there. In the meantime, trying to keep updated with these 3 or 4 different storms that are causing issues. Matt Fleener, let's go with your report while we're trying to interrogate this storm. Matt.
One right now, and we stopped off at the Trex Mart there just off of I-29, and we saw people actually taking cover inside of that Trex Mart. The power had completely gone out. They were staying safe in the tornado warning. But you saw cars that were basically left there at the gas pumps. People went inside very quickly to take cover there at that Trexmart, that convenience store, making sure that they were safe tonight. We're going to go back toward Plattsburgh right now. We're about to point east and go toward Plattsburgh to see if we can get back ahead of this storm.
All right, we are looking at what Nick was referring to see if we do see a debris signature, weak as it is, but there seem to be one to the east of Trimble, Missouri, which would indicate that there could have been a touchdown of some sort east of Trimble, west of Lathrop. So that is the cell now that Neville Miller is circling. That is the area of concern that we're worried about. And this is now still the tornado warning staying in effect until 8 o'clock. And this has been a tornado, at least had a history of touching down briefly as it's moving to the east and northeast. Michael Mahoney is also a little farther south of this, still closer to the metro. Since you are involved in this, Michael, let me throw it to you.
Yeah, Brian, we are by Worlds of Fun, where the sirens in Clay County, central Clay County, which you may be able to hear, started sounding in about 3 minutes ago. There's some sprinkling rain right now and some gusting winds, just like everywhere else throughout the metropolitan area. And off in the distance, we can see some pretty serious walls of lightning. But that's about it. It was just a flash there a second ago that we may have been able to pick up. And that's where things are right now. We're in a industrial park just immediately to the south of the Worlds of Fun and Oceans of Fun complex, where, again, it is windy and quiet, and with the sirens sounding in Clay County, in this part of Clay County. Sometimes these sirens are sequenced to specific areas, and that is the latest here. The sirens started going off about 4 minutes ago. Might have been able to hear that just a second ago, and people are urged to take cover in Clay County and central Clay County, especially on the east side where we are. Back to you.
Michael, thank you for that. And still that tornado warning remaining in effect for Clay, as you see there with our First Alert Live radar. Nick is also in the lower box, and that's from Storm Tracker 9. I have seen reports near Osborne of numerous power flashes, and that'd be another indication that there could have been a tornado or is a tornado. So if you're in Osborne, Missouri, please take cover. This is, once again, a possible tornado on the ground after dark. What you heard are sirens in the Weather Center. Now a new severe thunderstorm warning for Johnson County, Kansas, Miami County, Kansas, Jackson County, Missouri, Cass County, Missouri, until 8:30. But as you notice, things have changed pretty rapidly. So this is now the cell that's heading out, and now this is now the cell that's heading out, still moving to the east at about 45 miles an hour. And this is the same volatile atmosphere that's caused tornado warnings to be issued in a matter of moments. And so right now, I don't want those folks who I just mentioned to put their guards down, because it still appears that the best chances, Cass and Jackson on the Missouri side, also Johnson and Miami on the Kansas side as well, underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, is pretty close to that portion of Olathe and Gardner. What do you have there, Johnny?
Well, Brian, we're watching this start to move through right now, and I got to tell you, some pretty vivid cloud-to-ground lightning, and the inflow to these storms. You thought it was windy before. We've taken some easy 50, 55-mile-an-hour gusts, and that is just inflow. That doesn't have anything to do with the gust front coming out of the storm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of those situations where we're not seeing the tornado activity where we would typically see it. This is not the supercell situation where they're sitting all by themselves, and on the far southwestern corner of the storm, we can clearly see the tornado, and we can clearly see the definition of the clouds and exactly the structure of the supercell. This kind of on the leading edge, or in this, we call those inflow notches that come along with these lines that are not quite solid. We talk a lot about it going linear, and that means that the inflow that would feed any kind of tornadic activity is cut off. But with these storms, as you can see, some space between the storms, even if it's just a little bit, with the conditions we have tonight, that's why we are seeing that. But we talk a lot about that the tornado typically in this part of the country can follow the thunderstorm, be on the tail end of it, not necessarily the case tonight. So as these storms are moving through, and now we're seeing even stronger gusts out here on the southwest side in Olathe, as the storms begin to move through, that's the time to take cover. And it's not one of those times to be looking out the window and waiting to see what happens after the storm. Brian, back to you.
And that's what makes it so dangerous, John. You're right. If it was a supercell all by itself, very easy to detect, very easy to tell, very easy to see, but embedded within these lines of thunderstorms, that's where we see the worst, and that's where we're also expecting the worst from these cells that are moving through. Links 2, if we can go to that, please. I do want to, because we're about to change modes on First Alert Live radar, because we do have all of the warnings that are still coming out. The tornado warning remains in effect to the north of Kearney, continuing to move to the east and northeast. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for the city itself, which is why the sirens are going off in some locations. It is also continuing to move farther to the east toward Cass County, southern portions of Jackson County, Johnson County on the Kansas side, still under the severe thunderstorm warning. But it looks like they're going to expire at least some of it from Leavenworth County, Wyandotte County. So it is moving farther to the east, but still causing some issues and some trouble and some concern as well because of the torrential rainfall for one, but more importantly, the brief touchdowns, as Johnny was talking about, in between these little notches of the line of thunderstorms. So we've had many embedded thunderstorms that have produced these tornadoes that have dropped down in that debris signature that we saw not too far away from Osborne with power flashes as well. Taisha Walker is still very close to the Johnson County, Kansas side. Taisha, let me throw it to you.
Hi, Brian. Right now we are off of 83rd and 7 Highway, just north of Olathe. We are looking west. You can see all of the rain that we are getting, the lightning that we are seeing. We did see some hail, I would say about dime size to nickel size hail. And you know what? A lot of the drivers here started to go into some of the gas stations to hide under the awning for cover. You can see some of the cars still huddled here trying to wait that hail and severe weather out. But right now, we can see it's still very windy. A lot of the wind moving that rain on the ground and some of the hail that was here. We will continue to monitor this weather here in north of Olathe and bring you updates. Brian?
Okay, thank you for that. It still looks like they're going to expire the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect out for central portions of Johnson County until 8:30 for you.
I can give you a report.
Go ahead, Nick.
Brian, we just crossed 152 Highway and Interstate 29 here in the Northland. We're moving east. For a second, I thought we heard sirens. I thought we heard tornado sirens. I'm not aware that we're under a tornado warning. We're back behind the line. We're heading to Liberty to position ourselves on the storm that's west of Shawnee. I'm very concerned with the storm that's north and east of us that is going to be southeast of Plattsburgh. Still evidence of a damaging tornado in progress southeast of Plattsburgh with both the velocity presentation and showing debris in there. That's moving up. It should pass south and east of Plattsburgh, south of Turney, and then up over the interstate. That storm still very, very concerning. Here in the metro, we're back behind the line, heading toward Liberty. Brian, back to you.
Thank you. So you're behind the line in Liberty, still trying to get in a better position. Appreciate that. Severe thunderstorm warnings are still out, but the one tornado warning is still the leading edge of that. Still the heaviest of the activity to the north and east of Kansas City. Plattsburgh, at least the heaviest of the reflectivity that we're showing. Better chances for that heavy downpour and eventually the tornado signature still up to the east and northeast of Kansas City. So tornado warning still out for the metro north side and continuing to move to the east and northeast toward Harrison, Mercer counties as well. These are now the tornado producing thunderstorms. The entire metro Kansas City is under severe thunderstorm warnings, but it does not take much, and it did not take much earlier to have it go elevated to the next level, which would include a tornado warning. Right now, the only one that we have is very close to, say, the Lathrop area, as we were talking about, east and northeast of Trimble, and still heading to the east and northeast as well. Storm Tracker 9 trying to get in a better vantage point than in Liberty. So as you see here, this is still the line of thunderstorms that have produced tornadoes, mainly east and northeast in a diagonal right along I-35 and going farther down to the southeast as well toward that one cell very close to Plattsburgh. Neville.
All right, Brian, and so we're certainly keeping a very close watch on that thunderstorm. Another storm now, we're going to keep a very close watch for you in Johnson County. This is going to be very close to Olathe, very close to Gardner, DeSoto. Looking at radar, I'm seeing especially just off to the west of Olathe with this storm, so near west 127th, near Gardner Road, near College Boulevard there, Olathe Northwest High School. This storm is showing that it has the potential of producing some 60 to 70 mile-an-hour winds in this area that I've got circled there in blue. So I do want to give you that first alert. If you were in Johnson County and if you are close to Olathe Northwest High School, this is moving through DeSoto right now. You may have picked up some strong winds out of this thunderstorm there. Very close to 435, very close to I-35 as well there. Olathe approaching Lenexa. just off to the west of Leawood, west of Prairie Village. This storm we're keeping a very close watch on for that strong wind potential. As far as rotation with it, not quite seeing that as of right now, but I am certainly seeing the potential of some strong wind out of that thunderstorm there, Brian.
So it looks like we've expired the tornado warning for Clay County, continuing it for Clinton County. That is to let everybody know that this is continuing to push off to the east and northeast. Still have the issues, as mentioned, farther down south, and what you're seeing there is Johnson County. On the Kansas side, from Edwardsville back to DeSoto and Lenexa, we still see that the torrential rainfall, and even with the first alert radar that we were just showing, the live picture was just kind of outlining, as Neville did, the torrential downpour and the possibility of at least what part of the cell could give us the most trouble, and at least the most suspect that is going to be also heading up toward Wyandotte County. You can see just to the west of Edwardsville, the rain and the wind will be picking up. Shawnee, you're also next in line for that east and northeast projection, going to the east and northeast pretty rapidly, fairly fast as well. This is now going to weather 2 if we can. I just want to show the big picture once again. We're going through and regrouping first alert live radar just to get it back onto track to show at least some of the areas closer to the metro itself. These are now the severe thunderstorm warnings going from Cameron almost continuously through Kearney, back toward Kansas City, back toward Olathe, and farther to the west and southwest as well. And these are still looking for the embedded possible links that Johnny was talking about within this line that still could give us the spin-ups. The tornado warning still out for Clinton County and going farther to the east as well. I'm reading some of the reports here. It looks like house damage near Highway J. I hope the newsroom is listening to this. House damage near Highway J and McComas Lane south of Plattsburgh. Checking in on injuries up there. So that's to the east and northeast where we had earlier reports of tornadoes. Just came across, still looking at that. Also Johnson County on the Kansas side. Golf ball size hail being reported from these cells at West 71st and Shawnee. And pea-size hail being reported, this is closer to North Woodland. So once again, the hail reports and the wind reports are still pretty common and still moving through the area. And this is still one of the problems that we still have, especially down toward Johnson County on the Kansas side, where we find Taisha Walker reporting from Olathe. Taisha.
Hey, Brian, we are heading east on 83rd. We are just seeing a lot of rain right now. The hail is behind us. When it was hailing, we did notice about a quarter size hail. Would you say, Todd? Nickel. About a nickel size hail. Right now it's just a lot of heavy rain out here, and it's very windy. At times the wind is moving the car, so that is making it a little bit difficult. So we are taking it slow, as we are also telling people who are at home and plan to go out to take it slow on the road as well because of all the rain and the wind out here. Brian?
I'm actually over Pete Grigsby's shoulder there, and I know, Pete, you've been here just looking at some of the warnings that have been coming through. The heaviest of the cells, they almost look like they're discrete, but they're still in a line, and each one kind of shows its own individuality.
That's right. Well, you're right. I mean, we've watched these thunderstorms move anywhere from 45 to 55 miles an hour east-northeast direction. They are along the line, the squall line that's moving across eastern Kansas into West Missouri. Taisha's there near Olathe, and we're going to keep her just ahead of that. Of course, we don't want to drive her into the middle of it, so we're going to keep her at a safe distance, but she is going to keep an eye on it just in case this does produce something like a signature for tornadic activity. As of right now, it's not showing that. However, it's impressive, pea-size size hail been reported in areas just north of Olathe, but it's definitely worth watching. Of course, the entire line, anywhere from Olathe all the way up to north of Kearney, getting the severe weather threat. And of course, a couple of tornado warnings still in effect with radar indicated up north, very close to the Gallatin area. So it's crucial, Brian, that we keep an eye on the entire line because they all have the same, you might say, ingredients. I know you use that word a lot, coming together, that these things can spawn severe thunderstorms immediately. And that's why we have to spread these storm chasers out, keep them in safe distance.
Okay. Hey, Pete,
and
I got some more information
yes, go
right
ahead,
here.
Neville.
We have a new tornado warning now for Mercer and Putnam County. That's in our northern communities there, north and east of Kansas City. That's a tornado warning until 8:15. I also want to get this report out here as well. Hopefully the news department is also hearing this. A report of a tractor trailer overturned at I-29 and I-435 due to the wind. That coming in from emergency manager out of Platte County. So that's at I-29 and 435, a tractor trailer overturned due to the wind, and a tornado warning now north and east of Kansas City in Mercer and Putnam County until 8:15, Brian.
All right, thanks for that. That's right to the east and northeast, well along just to the east of I-35. So that's going to be on the fringes. But still, as you notice, it's still part of that line that's breaking with little notches in between. And in between each one of those, there's enough inflow that could give us the spin ups, which is why these tornado warnings are continuing to be reissued and issued again and again. This far after the sun has gone down, where it's lost a lot of its energy and its power. I know Nick Bender is still out in Storm Tracker 9. Nick, I see your live picture in the other the box there. Please, Nick, go ahead.
Brian, we're heading south. We're going to go down toward Kauffman Stadium and get out ahead of the storm that's producing the hail over Shawnee and Overland Park. So we're heading south on 435, coming up on Pleasant Valley and Claycomo, looking to the south at this time. Driving wind, rain, hail, lightning. I need to get out ahead of this storm so I can look back toward the base and see the updraft of this storm. Brian, back to you.
Nick, thank you for that. I know Johnny Rollins is on the phone closer to that storm that's out toward Johnson County, Kansas. Johnny, go ahead.
Well, if you're looking at the radar right now, Brian, actually kind of where that little notch is below Olathe is pretty close to where we are right now, and almost a little bow coming out of that as well that could indicate a gust. But we're seeing, and this is ahead of the storm, we're seeing easy 50 mile an hour, pretty much steady between 40 and 50 mile an hour winds right now. That is the inflow to this line of storms that we have. And, of course, that's very, very concerning, especially because that gives you an idea of what kind of energy we're dealing with this entire storm. Right now, no precipitation where we are, maybe some light showers. We can see the base of the cloud and nothing threatening in that regard. But, of course, we've been talking about this kind of different tornado event, if you want to call it that the tornadoes can be more on the leading edge of the storm, in contrast to what we're normally tracking from News Chopper 9 is when they're on the trailing edge of the storm. But this has enough power just with the winds ahead of it, let alone what's going to accompany the storms as they move through. But right now in Olathe, and I should say probably very south Overland Park, out towards 179th Street, just now